And I think being happy is more important than, going to a college or, having a high paying, being a doctor when they grow up. If they want
Mm-hmm.
to, let them, but just love them, accept them as they are, because their ability for happiness and for growth is infinite.
Mm-hmm. It is. It really is. I love that answer. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. My guest today is super awesome. Her name is Wendy, and I can't wait for you to hear everything she has to say. So, Wendy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you like to spend your time?
Well, sure. Thanks for asking. Well, I'm Wendy, although my grown-up name is Wendela Marsh, but people call me Wendy. Let's see, I started out as a special education teacher for 20 years, and then I became a school psychologist and a licensed educational psychologist for another 20 years. And then I retired. Meanwhile, I had been working with young children with autism, but I had no idea that my late husband and two of our children were all late diagnosed as autistic. I guess mom's always the last to know. So I retired in 2016, and I thought I would just maybe write a book, maybe see one or two clients. But retirement just didn't take with me. So I've just finished the first draft of my 10th book with my publisher. And my ninth one just came out this month. There it is. Where is it? It's called Independent Living While Autistic, Your Roadmap to Success. And it's part of the Adulting While Autistic book series. There's 5 books in that series. And I also started a group practice where most of the clinicians that I hire are themselves autistic or neurodivergent. And we see clients from all across the country. If they wonder if they might be autistic, we do assessment for that, also for ADHD. And we have counseling and life coaching. And I really enjoy having a busy retirement. It seems to suit me better than just, knitting. I'm not very good at knitting.
I'm not either. Like, look at my hands. They don't work that good.
Yeah. Plus, you can buy scarves, Why do we all have to knit?
I love that. And I love your humor. You're amazing. And yeah, you retired, but I'm pretty sure you're working more now than you did before. But it also, I don't think you call it work because it's what you enjoy.
Yeah, I don't work for anyone else. I only do what I want to do. And this is what I want to do.
And that's what we all dream of having, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to know more about, what you've learned about autism, some things that can help others understand autism a little bit better. Because I've had a few guests on that have autism, and I have 2 clients that have autism. So I know personally that autism isn't what everybody thinks it is or what it's portrayed to be.
That's for sure. You're entirely right. Some people see maybe 2 extremes. Like on the one hand, they think of like a little boy who doesn't talk, doesn't take care of their own basic needs, just, holds their little toy train and flaps their hands. Or they think it's like Sheldon on TV, it's a genius who's kind of quirky and, not very social. But in fact, there's a wide range of people who meet the criteria for autism, but they don't all look alike any more than any of us all look alike,
Exactly.
or behave alike or respond alike. They're very different.
Yeah.
Some things they might have in common is challenges with communication. But it's all different levels. There are some who are nonverbal. There are some who are extremely verbal. And there are people who are very, very verbal when they're talking about their interests and they're comfortable. But if they're talking and suddenly maybe there's a car backfire or a dog barks or a plate drops, they might become completely mute and unable to
Mm-hmm.
speak. Um, as stress goes up, abilities go down. So it's like
Yeah.
it goes together. And I think that's true for a lot of people, but it's definitely true for the
Mm-hmm.
people I know who are autistic. And there is a difference between, I think, early diagnosed autistic people who, when they were 2 or 3, everybody knew this is an autistic
Mm-hmm.
child. But there's a whole group of people who are late diagnosed with autism,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still autistic, but they have
Mm-hmm.
been masking and really masking hard. It's like pretending to be normal. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
normal without the finger quotes.
I know I do the same thing. Well, I
Yeah,
try,
yeah,
but yeah, but that's what we all say is normal, but
yes,
it's just how it is. The
yeah,
terms that we use is just because it's normal. you know. So
yeah.
yeah.
I think of myself. I'm not autistic, but I think of myself as being in the neuro majority. I used to say
Mm-hmm.
neurotypical, but then I started
Mm-hmm.
feeling, well, typical sounds like maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. But it's just that
Mm.
there are more people in the neuromajority than there are autistic people.
Yeah, that's
And
all there is. Mm-hmm.
that's the way it is. And as with most things, the people in the majority tend to make the rules.
Exactly.
So if most people say, I'm comfortable looking at people's eyes, there's no reason to
Mm-hmm.
look at eyes when you're talking because we hear with our ears, not our eyes. But
Yep.
but if they say, well, since we're all comfortable looking at right at people's eyeballs, if you don't, we're going to think you're lying, or we're going to
Mm-hmm.
think, we're not going to trust you. But for
Yep.
some people, looking right at someone's eyeballs is kind of uncomfortable. If you think about it,
Yep.
it's like that's a weird thing to be looking at. If you look at the general
Yeah.
face, you get the expressions. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
gaze right at the eyeballs.
And
Um,
I know that that's a common thing for people with autism is
that's true.
they it's uncomfortable to make eye contact. One of the clients that I'm working with now, she told me all about it. She's like, it's just for me, it's weird. Like I like
Yeah.
and me and her we kind of laugh about it because I tell her, well, you're not looking at my eyeballs. You're looking at a screen, technically, because we're on Zoom, kind of like
Yeah.
me and you are now. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, so you know, I, we have a good time on every coaching call. It's really awesome.
That's so wonderful. It's a wonderful that you offer this kind of life coaching, because I know a lot of late diagnosed autistic people really need that. And they would
Mm-hmm.
like to talk to somebody who really gets what it's like to be in the minority.
Yep.
Most people just walk around and have no trouble walking. They look at people's eyes and talk
Mm-hmm.
and they have no trouble with it. But if
Mm-hmm.
you understand what it's like to be in that minority, that can be
Yep.
very helpful. I'm sure you find it very
Eh,
helpful in your coaching. You can
oh
relate
yeah,
to people. Yeah.
exactly. And she actually told me that like, I wanted you as my coach because I feel like you understand.
Yes,
So,
it's so
I don't
important.
want a different coach. I want you. So that was really
Yeah.
powerful.
I think that is powerful because not everyone can understand as deeply. I mean, I was married to an autistic man before he died in 2009. He had a heart attack. And I still, have 2 kids who are autistic. But no matter how much I've worked with people and lived with people and loved people who are autistic, I'm not autistic. So I know
Mm-hmm.
that I I can't fully understand. I think I can, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same as someone else who has some kind of a disability, who really has walked
Mm-hmm.
that path. And that's why I hire
Yep.
so many people who are themselves neurodivergent, because they get it
Mm-hmm.
like you get it.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And, that's why I'm doing what I do, and that's why I post a lot on social media. It's like, okay, look, we are different. Let's not deny the fact we're different, but on the inside, we're the same. We're
Yes.
people. We're humans. We we want to live our life. So,
That's right.
the hopefully, the judgment and negativity eventually goes away, or at least reduces a lot.
I hope so. And I think by getting your voice out there on this podcast and in the other ways that you reach out to people, that really
Mm-hmm.
helps um, to to let people understand. Because a lot of times it's just that they've never met someone with a disability; they just don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But once you meet someone and they're your friend or you've heard their podcast, then it's like, oh well, of course. Well, I may not like everyone like that, but I like you. And that means, well, maybe that means I should also like all these other disabled people
Yeah.
instead of thinking that they're lesser in any way, because that's not true.
You and that kind of makes me think of something that I've actually been wanting to make some videos about, but I haven't yet. And that's if you're a parent of small younger children, and you know of somebody that has a disability of any sort,
Mm-hmm.
bring your children around them as much as you can, because all the children in my life, they don't like judge people when they're different, because Uncle Nick is different, and to
Yeah,
them it's normal. It's just
that's right.
not everybody is the same. So I think it's very powerful for children to understand at a young age, because then they grow up and they get along with everybody, regardless if you have a disability or not. They just love everyone, and I love that. I've seen it so much in my own life.
That's that's so important. I agree with you. Letting kids know a variety of people will help them to be open to everyone as they grow up, and
Hmm.
not to become, closed in or prejudiced or thinking I'm only going to like people like me. You know,
Yep.
in childhood is the best time to learn those things.
Yep. It is exactly.
Hmm.
So yeah, what would be a tip that you could give somebody who isn't autistic, doesn't have a disability, when they encounter someone who is autistic? And I know this might be a difficult answer because there's different levels, but do you have this one tip that you could give?
Well, yeah. If somebody that you know comes and says, "By the way, we've been friends a long time, and but you didn't know about me that I am autistic." If they say
Mm-hmm.
I'm autistic, first, know, they trusted you enough to share something personal about themselves. So thank them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, you shouldn't say. Don't say, "Oh, you don't look autistic,"
Oh
because what's
yeah.
autistic supposed to look like? And
Yep.
don't say, "Oh, well, we're all a little bit autistic, aren't we?" Because that's not true. I mean, I was very
Yeah.
shy as a child, and I've been told I'm a little bit quirky, but that doesn't make me autistic. So I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
presume that I can understand at the same level that another autistic person would understand. So I don't
Yep.
say, "Oh, we're all a little bit autistic." Um, you, if you thank them for sharing that with you, and I think one of the worst things you can say is, "Oh no, you're not. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you," because that implies that there's something wrong with autism. And there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with it. It's a disability,
No.
it's a difference, it's a minority, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
wrong. They don't have a bad
Mm-hmm.
brain. Like someone who has Down syndrome. There's nothing wrong with their brain. It's a different brain. People
Mm-hmm.
with Down learn at their own pace, and they have valuable lives even
Mm-hmm.
though they have a difference. But there's nothing wrong with being autistic. So just accept them, listen when they tell you, and believe them when they tell you what's true for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you brought that up, because one of my clients, she's like, it bothers me so much when people say you don't look autistic. And like you said, what does it look like? Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I know there's a lot of people that say that, and it's like, don't
Yeah.
say that. Just accept them. Embrace them and be there for them. I
Yes,
love that.
exactly. Be there for them.
Hmm. So, my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
I love that. Your abilities are in. That's one of the things I love about you and your podcast. Um, and to me, it means if you're autistic, there should be no ceiling put on what you might or might not do. I've
Yeah.
when I used to work with very young autistic children, sometimes the parents would be so upset that they learned that their child was autistic, like this is a tragedy. And I'm thinking,
Hmm.
it's not a tragedy. It's more knowledge.
No.
They're the same child.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
nothing different about them now that we have more knowledge. But
Hmm.
one of the things they thought is, oh no, now my child will never go to college. They'll never get married or have children. And I can
Hmm.
say my autistic husband went to college, got married, had children, had jobs.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can definitely say they will never do blank because they might.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
might not do all those things, but you know what? Your non-autistic kids might not do all those things either. There's no guarantee
Exactly.
that our children are going to fulfill all our hopes for them. The
Yeah.
main thing is we want our kids to be happy.
Hmm.
And I think being happy is more important than, going to a college or, having a high paying, being a doctor when they grow up. If they want
Hmm.
to, let them, but just love them, accept them as they are, because their ability for happiness and for growth is infinite.
Hmm. It is. It really is. I love that answer. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for the
So,
question. It's a wonderful
oh
question.
yeah. Oh yeah. I love asking that question on every episode because everybody's answer is so different and unique. So I just love to see basically how powerful that statement is because it can mean so many different things.
True.
So I love that.
Thank
So
you.
if people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Sure. Well, I have a couple of websites. My business one is adultautismassessment.com. It's all one word,
Okay.
adult autism assessment. And then my author website is just my whole name, WendelaWhitcombMarsh.com, all one word.
Okay.
Um, and maybe you'll be able to put that in the notes so that they'll know how to spell it.
Yep. I'll put everything down in the notes.
Okay. And if somebody wants to
So yeah.
email me, they can email me at Dr. Wendy, DrWendy, at adultautismassessment.com. And just tell me where we met. Just remind me
Mm-hmm.
that this is how you got my email address so that I can have context. And I will love to hear from you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This was so helpful to a lot of people.
It has been a pleasure, Nick. Thank you for having me.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me in the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors. So let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone. Remember, your abilities are infinite.